this video, we're going to talk about writing custom commands in Cypress. So Cypress, as we've seen, offers a lot of functionality out of the box, but sometimes you need to add your own custom commands or even overwrite some of Cypress's default commands, So in this video, we're going to learn to differentiate between adding and overwriting commands, and then understand when to use custom commands versus just using those existing commands that Cypress gives us. So just because you can write a custom command doesn't mean that you necessarily should. You could potentially over abstract every command in here and do like a get by ID click sort of thing. But you don't need to necessarily break all of your commands into custom commands. So we'll take a look at when to use these custom commands. So let's go ahead and take a look. So as normal, we've got our first test.spec.js file open. We've got our project running locally, and we've got our npm run sci open command run with our test runner open. So when we initially installed Cypress as part of our project, it gave us this support directory inside of our Cypress directory. And inside of Cypress/support, there is a commands.js file. This is going to be the default place that Cypress looks for when you're writing custom commands. So when we're writing custom commands, we'll go in here, we'll whip up our custom commands, and now we'll have access to them in our other test files. So one common use case for using a custom command is when you're working with local or session storage. So sometimes as part of authentication processes, you'll interact with local storage and maybe set tokens or get tokens or set some other sort of site information that you want to put in local storage. So let's take a look at how to write a custom command so that you don't have to rewrite the logic for setting and getting key value pairs in local storage. So the syntax works like this. We have cypress.commands.add. So all of our custom commands that we're adding, these are going to be brand new, are going to be cypress.commands.add. We're going to give it a name. So we'll say set local storage. And then it takes a callback function. Now in this callback function, just like a regular JavaScript function, we can pass in arguments. So we're going to allow this custom command to accept a key and a value, which we will then use to set our local storage. So from here, we'll cy.window. So we'll get access to the Cypress window. Then we'll grab that window and we will set the local storage. So window.local storage .set item, and we'll set it to the key value pair that is being passed in. While we're in here, we'll go ahead and write our get local storage custom command as well so that we can then use both in our test.spec.js file. So we'll add another one, cypress.commands.add get local storage. And in this case, all we need is a key because we're not setting anything. We just want to grab that local storage item by its key. And similarly, we'll grab the window. And then with that window, we'll grab the local storage.get item, and we'll get the item by the key that is being passed in. So now we have two custom commands. We can access these in our other files by referencing the name that we gave our custom commands chained off of the base cy dot. So let's take a look at what this looks like. If we go back over to our myfirsttest.spec.js file, we can comment out some of these older tests. And we can say it sets a token in local storage. From here, we'll do cy dot, let me check the name of the command again, set local storage. So I'm just going to copy this. cy dot set local storage. The key that we pass in, we'll just call it token. And then the value, we'll say ABCD123. So now if we save this, we bring over our test runner and we run our test. So the test passes. Let's take a look at what actually happened. So in our test body, we have our window. If we click on this and then open up our console, we can see that it yielded this window object. So if we open this up, we scroll down, these are all of the keys off of the window object. We can take a look at local storage. And there we see local storage. We have the key of token and the value of ABCD123. So right off the bat, we have a reusable way of setting tokens, or setting local storage, excuse me. So we have a way of setting a token reusably. We could set other items in local storage as well, like maybe a user ID or an email or whatever we want to put in local storage. So let's take a look at then using that get local storage custom command. So remember, get local storage, we're going to pass in a key, and then it's going to give us that item. So let's take a look. If we copy get local storage, we can write a new test that says it gets a token from local storage. We can use that command, cy dot get local storage. We're going to get the token. And then from there, we can assert that it should equal ABCD123. So notice that these are two strings. Let's make this a little bit more clean and set this to a variable. So I'm going to grab this and cut it. And I'm going to set a variable called token and set it equal to that string. And then from here, we're going to set our local storage equal to that variable. And we're going to assert that it equals that variable. So this way we avoid any typos or anything like that. We just have the one variable token up here. So now let's save this. Let's grab our test runner and run our test one more time. So we refresh. Expected window to equal ABCD123. So let's take a look at what is happening here. So if we get our window and we see local storage, nothing is stored there. So the issue happening here is that we don't have it in the same test. So what we can do, we can say it sets and gets. So let's set the local storage. So the local storage is then being reset on a per test basis. So if we set the local storage and then we get it, we should expect this test to pass. So expected the window to equal ABCD123. So it looks like there's an issue with how we wrote our get local storage custom command. So let's take a look at that. So the issue here is that we're not returning in this custom command. So if we add a return window.localstorage.getItem and hit save, now we can see our tests are passing. So we can see the window, the local storage is set like we did before. We have our window again, and this time it was the get local storage, and we can see once again that the local storage is ABCD123, and we expected ABCD123 to equal ABCD123. So this is a pretty common use case for custom commands that are being added that are not out of the box with Cypress. But what happens if you want to overwrite a Cypress command that you already have access to out of the box? So a good example that Cypress offers is the ability to overwrite the type command so that you can pass in an option to hide sensitive information in the Cypress logs. So say, for example, you want to test out typing a username and password, and you don't want that password to show up on your Cypress log because maybe you have the video recording set to true, or maybe you're capturing screenshots, and you don't want to accidentally let that sensitive information out into the world. So let's go ahead and take a look at how we would overwrite the type command to allow us to pass in this sensitive option, which would then replace all the characters in the Cypress log with asterisks. So the syntax looks similar. It's cypress.commands, but in this case it's overwrite. We are going to overwrite the type command where we take in the original function, the element that it's referencing, the text, and then any options. Then we can say if there are options and options.sensitive also exists, then we can turn off the original log, options.log not equals log equals false, and then we'll create our own log. So in this case, we'll do cypress.log, where the element that we're logging is the element being passed in. The name is still type, so that's the command that we're using. And then the message, what we'll do is we're going to just replace any text with a star, and we'll do this by doing that string.repeat, and we'll grab the text.length. So in this case, we still know that there's text being entered, but we're going to replace any of those characters with a star. Then from there, we'll go to the bottom and we'll return our original function, the element, text, and options. So just adjust this formatting here. Okay, and now we can save that. Now we're ready to use it. So we can, let's write a new test, and we can say it overwrites the type command by using sensitive characters. And we've got another old test that we used before, so we can take a look where we used type. So we visited the commands, actions, and we found by placeholder text. So let's copy this. And then uncomment it. So we're going to find by placeholder text email, and then we have access to this type command, but since we've overwritten it here, cypress.commands to overwrite, if we pass in this sensitive option, now we should see in the log that it hides that information. So here, and let's actually show both. So I'm going to duplicate this line. And in this second example, we'll pass in an options object with sensitive set to true. We'll add our spaces. So let's take a look at what this looks like. So if we refresh, we have our token test already passing. Here in our log though, the first find by placeholder text, we can see that it types out the test@email.com. However, with the second one, we overwrote it so that instead of typing out test@email.com, maybe we want to hide that information. Now it's all asterisks. So you'll notice here that in the commands, the custom commands that we're doing are things that can be repeatable across multiple tests. So it cuts down on boilerplate, but it's also something where I'm not going to just write a custom command one time for each sort of custom bit of functionality that I need. If I only had one test that I wanted to set local storage or get local storage, I could just use this command right here one time and be done with it. So this is one of those examples where should I be writing custom commands for everything? If I'm going to have multiple tests that utilize this set or get local storage, or if I'm going to have multiple use cases where I want to hide sensitive information, in that case, then yes, it's a good time to write a custom command. But again, if you're only going to use it once, or if you're just abstracting logic to like click on a button or maybe chain together a type command by passing in some text, that might not be the best use case. So try and use these commands sparingly, but when you do use them, they can certainly be pretty powerful. As always, thanks for watching. If you're looking to learn more in the meantime, check out our blog page and community page for more tips and tricks for writing more tests with Cypress. So thanks again, and I'll see you next time.